I currently lead Eigen Foundation. We build systems for coordination between agents and humans. Agents are taking over a lot of things that humans are known to do. Now, what's the role for humans in that scenario? 2019, we thought it was all dead, and 2020 came back with a huge surge. I think crypto AI could be that this time.
Historically, every time there's been like a bull market, there's been a catalyst behind why that bull market happened.
There is always a little bit of a bull market somewhere, but in terms of a broad-based bull market, I think there are two things. One is innovation. I think that a meme coin scenario didn't help us. Citadel, Jane Street, they have agents trading with very large amounts every single day. So I think it'll then follow through to consumers with smaller amounts and shopping. We already ask ChatGPT what to buy or Claude what to buy, and then it's one more step to saying, yeah, okay, go ahead, just do it for us. We have a real challenge on our hands as to how to reorganize society. Just like after the Industrial Revolution, the physical power and manual labor kind of changed, and that will happen again with robotics.
What do you think makes a successful founder in this space?
It's very hard. Timing is a big factor. Doing the right thing at the right time. I know that's not the answer. Persistence, endurance. I think it's very, very hard to be a crypto founder.
So you would think that disproportionately, like timing is more important than any other factor.
Timing finds people who are persistent and keep going for a long time and have tremendous endurance, like Jensen Huang, going for 30 years now and gone through so many ups and downs. So yeah, and there are times, when people go on for 10 years, 20 years and nothing happens.
Very excited today to have Ajit on the podcast. Welcome. I would love to get started with a little bit of an introduction about yourself. Would love to get your story on how you got into crypto, about your journey so far, which I know is very long and extensive, and what you're working on right now.
Yeah, so I currently lead Eigen Foundation, which is part of Eigen. We build systems for coordination between agents and humans, right, which is a very interesting problem that really needs to be solved. And we have been around a few years doing research in cryptography, cryptoeconomic security, coordination systems. Before that, I was at Polygon, Aave, and Binance in the crypto industry. Did a variety of roles at the intersection of traditional finance and blockchain and crypto. My background is in financial services before that, and software engineering before that. So yeah, so it's been a very interesting journey.
Yeah, what made you kind of get into crypto? Because I know you were in TradFi. At what point were you like, oh, crypto is interesting. This is going to be the next big thing. This is what I should bet on.
Yeah, crypto was kind of where AI is today, right? So it was the driver of innovation. Innovation is always fascinating, right? If you come from an engineering background and you like complex problems, then crypto offered a lot of those. So I really enjoyed being part of a number of problems, solving a number of problems, and then it had multiple dimensions. Has multiple dimensions that are social and so on and so forth. So it was. I've always been very volatile. Sometimes a lot of fun, sometimes very stressful, but we always have interesting problems to work on.
Yeah, and right now, you obviously joined Eigen quite recently. What was your thinking behind joining Eigen at this stage?
I've been an investor and supporter for a very long time. I think Eigen is solving one of the most interesting problems and one of the most important problems in blockchain technology, which is in the age of AI. How do we use this technology to create coordination systems between humans and agents, right? I mean, the agents are taking over a lot of things that humans are known to do. Now, what's the role for humans in that scenario, right? And then how do we sort of broadly create systems that allow people to participate and not completely centralize, wealth and power in a few hands? So, and we believe that blockchain or cryptography, these technologies are the systems that will eventually enable us to solve those types of coordination challenges. The society is kind of starting to recognize those, and AI is moving really fast, which is tremendously exciting and sometimes yeah, it's a bit intimidating as well. So we want to operate at the intersection and solve some of the most important problems in AI, especially post AGI.
No, absolutely. Personally, for me, I've been spending the last 3 or 4 years in the crypto AI space as well. So I was like an early employee at Aether, and then an early employee at Kite AI, where we were solving agentic identity payments as well. And we hit a couple of roadblocks as well. So I'm quite curious, with Eigen, what are some of the big challenges that you're facing to realize that vision?
It's not. I think we are more excited about the opportunity than about the challenge. Right, crypto industry is obviously going through a lean phase, but that's going to start to change. I mean, AI has obviously all the attention at this point, and we are at sort of the intersection, or we are kind of operating in both spaces. We do a bunch of research, and which is pure play AI. I think you will see more announcements like we ship Dark Bloom, which is inference on Max, and building we shipped Agent Kit. So there are more products coming down the pipe. For us, the it's we are early. We have always been a bit early and ahead of the time, so that cuts both ways. So I think it's more of an opportunity than anything else. The challenges, I could list a long list of challenges, but I think it's mostly I think there are really smart people like people at A16Z and others who kind of recognize some of the challenges Sriram has been talking about that the society needs to solve. So yeah, I mean, crypto has been going through a bit of a lean patch, right? And that obviously makes things a little bit more complex than they need to be. But I think it's the field of opportunity we're most excited about.
And this lean patch with crypto that you talk about, you've obviously been in crypto since 2017, if not earlier, also. And you've gone through a couple of these cycles of like bull, bear, bull, bear. Is it quite typical of a bear market to kind of have this lean phase that we're going through right now?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same as before. 2019 we thought it was all dead, and 2020 came back with a huge surge. I think crypto AI could be that this time. We're starting to see some signs of that, and we are also starting to see useful applications and build useful applications. So there is always something. Crypto is a field of early stage innovation. So we are. Yeah, I don't really know. I can't really predict the markets and which way they're going to go. Right. I think Clarity Act will be a huge push because it'll enable institutional capital to come into crypto in a well-defined way and de-risk some of the concerns and risks that institutions have to deal with, and token market participants, founders, and teams have to deal with. So I'm quite bullish on, just like Genius did for stables. So I'm quite on Clarity and the implications of Clarity. It's just taking a little bit of time. But yes, I think looks like the U.S. government is committed to organizing and supporting this industry, and the rest of the world will follow behind that.
And historically with these cycles, every time there's been like a bull market, there's been a catalyst behind why that bull market happened. In your view, is it more around clarity that's gonna, create that surge or that catalyst for the bull market, or do you think it's because institutions are getting more comfortable with crypto as well now? Like, what do you think is going to be that
Well,
catalyst?
there is always a bull market somewhere, right? I think you can see that Hyperliquid is doing really well. Solana was doing really well last year. Ethereum had its run before that, might come back. So there is always a little bit of a bull market somewhere. But in terms of a broad-based bull market, I think there are two things. One is innovation, right? I think people are a little bit demotivated by the thesis that everything we're doing is just, I think that's meme coin scenario didn't help us. I think people are really excited about the innovation and the pace of innovation in AI. So some innovation needs to come through. I think agentic commerce, agentic payments, coordination between agents and humans, applications of cryptography to agentic systems, right? I think it's these types of things that will really get people excited again and bring more capital and flow. And then obviously the regulatory, permissions help with that. So, I mean, DeFi is going through a rough patch with security, right? 2020 was all DeFi. So it's really hard to call, but I'm very bullish on the AI crypto intersection, right? And I think there'll be really cool products coming out of that. And I think AI, there are some very legitimate and high profile AI people like Ajit Tripathi who have spoken at length about this intersection. So I think the whole market environment with meme coins hasn't really helped us, right? And there's some regulation, some conduct and behavior standards that are required. But other than that, I think it's really the innovation at this intersection that will bring us back, is kind of my view. And then obviously regulatory, the Clarity Act.
No, absolutely. I think that's my view as well. Right now, I've interviewed a couple of founders who are also working in this space, but their biggest kind of thing that they view is holding agentic commerce back is people don't really trust agents with even microtransactions, or if I talk to people who say my friends or family outside of crypto, or even for me, I've been working in the space, would I trust an agent with even $100 in transaction at the moment is the question. But do you think that's something that can become more mainstream as time goes by, or how do you think people create that trust with
Look,
agents?
look, it's already happening, right? I think Citadel, Jane Street, they have agents trading with very large amounts every single day, right? So I think it'll then follow through to consumers with smaller amounts and shopping. We already ask ChatGPT what to buy, or Claude what to buy, and then it's one more step to saying, yeah, okay, go ahead, just do it for us, right? And then return if it doesn't work. So I think it's happening. Will it necessarily happen on blockchain rails? I think part of that will definitely happen on blockchain rails, right? Some of that will happen on Visa CLI and I think traditional credit card rails and things like that. But I think agentic commerce doesn't necessarily require humans to bless it. I think there is institutional backing for it. There are trading systems. There is Wall Street. There is I think loyalty system. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's going to come through, and people become comfortable like they became comfortable with Uber and Waymo. So I think I see a sense of inevitability, and then it's a question of how much of that share goes to blockchains. From an Eigen perspective, Eigen Cloud enables verifiability, right? So if you see in Web2 AI systems, there is observability, there is a variety of these properties that agent builders look for to sort of manage the risks. And I think with the crypto or with Eigen, we already have all of that, the verifiability, the whole audit trail, the T protection of credentials, the privacy that comes with it. So the system is there. I think there is a little bit of a gap between AI and crypto that I think will close as crypto market gets more organized and legitimized and regulated. So to some extent that's already happening, right? But it's very, very early, and I think at that point we will see an acceleration in agentic commerce on these some of these really systems. I think Tempo are very bullish on it. Polygon are working very hard. Kite. There's a whole bunch of Monad, a whole bunch of blockchain projects that are pushing in that direction. Circle, Katina just funded yesterday. So yeah, I think it's there's an inevitability around this stuff. Coinbase, X402, right? So lots of different efforts. It's very hard to predict where and exactly how, but is it going to grow exponentially? I mean, yeah, I wish I had 2024. I didn't expect AGI level intelligence to start to hit so hard. I mean, I feel like man, what was I thinking, right? So yeah, so some of these things will happen in the same pace and extent.
And how are you kind of making sure that Eigen is kind of best positioned to be a market leader once, we're in that phase where this stuff becomes more mainstream, accelerated?
Yeah, we are a small team with a long runway, right? So we are quite disciplined, and we also have some unique and differentiating technology. We are doing a bunch of research and work that brings us a lot of credibility with mainstream, and we have a sort of a very strong track record of good behavior. So now it's a matter of we have done a bunch of experiments, right, and some of them have been more successful than others. How do we make sure we are well positioned? I think it's always by solving a real customer problem, right? So we think that this verifiability and coordination of agents and humans is a real problem. And I think capital formation is a real problem in certain systems like this. Shriram has spoken at length about it. So our job is to test that thesis in the market, ship product that solves a real problem, and then navigate the times as they come. So yeah, I mean, we are operating in a field of uncertainty just like everyone else, but I think we have very strong conviction in our thesis, and there is always discovery and product discovery and customer discovery that we are pushing on, and we think that clarity will make a huge difference to all of that. Dependent on it, but we think that fundamentally changes the playing field for us and for peers as well.
No, absolutely. And with your background, because you worked in TradFi, you've been on the other end of also being working for institutions. And now there's a lot of talk around how we're in an institutional adoption super cycle, or institutions are coming, or crypto's getting institutionalized. What's your view on this? And what do you think is something that people in crypto are actually misunderstanding about institutions actually coming, as they say?
Yeah, so institutions, I think there are two things, right? They see crypto as an asset. So, you know, uh, so the asset part is something they're relatively comfortable with, right? You see all these ETPs, ETFs, and so on and so forth, and you see a lot of active trading and investing in this asset class. Then the part is around technology, where I think the technology will have to be adapted a little bit to institutional needs. So, for example, permissionless DeFi has had a few challenges in the last 2 months, and I think there are now solutions like Canton that have gained a lot of traction. So there are some, I think, needs of institutions like controls, right? And to the extent you can support those controls with technology and evidence those controls, that works. And you can't, then you have to do it with process, right? So I used to also consult for PwC and have a bunch of work with some very hard. That's how I came into blockchain. I was into crypto guy. Then I became, after I went to Binance, and partner with traditional finance institutions as a consultant. So I think what's the controls aspect is extremely important, right? I think whether it's controls around tokens, controls around technology, controls around making sure Korea isn't up to something, right? So I think that's something that a lot of crypto projects don't understand. And obviously, we want to provide as much of these controls as with technology and evidence with technology, right? So verifiability and all that, and privacy and all that, right, with cryptographic proofs. But then there is a process and a people aspect to that, which is also, I think, will become more and more important. You already see that with like Securitize and some tokenization projects and so on and so forth. So that'll also happen to AI. That will also, like Europe now has a regulation for evidencing what the agent did, and there are some rules around verifying and observing what the agents are doing in a financial institution like Revolut. So I think we will see more of that. We are seeing more of that with tokenization, like super stakes, and we'll see that across the board a little bit. So I think we have to be mentally prepared to think in terms of controls and processes and not just technology. But our job is to do as possible with tech.
And then what do you think will become more important in that situation? Would it be the code? Would it be trust, community, distribution compared to an important for crypto projects in the past side?
Liability, right? Liability, as in, so that's what changes when you go from crypto to institutional. So because institutions are liable for the most part for consumer outcomes, and so I think that with DeFi, like, no one has any liability for anything, right? So that doesn't quite work very well. Now, to the extent that cryptographic and crypto economic systems can reduce that liability for the institutions that are working with the tech by providing evidence and controls, right? I think it makes the life of institutions easier. But beyond that, there is going to be a layering of non-technological controls and systems or processes that evidence that the agent did what the agent said. That's part of what we are building at Eigenlayer. There are cryptographic or mathematical evidence that the agent didn't leak the credentials, and then the agent has ownership, and there's no human sort of playing behind that. So I think all those things are so technology can evidence a lot of controls, right? So and the operating word for institutions is always controls. So that's I think what's gonna become very interesting, right? So like X402, is there a dispute resolution mechanism? X402, is there a mechanism for unwind and reversing transactions? So there's a whole bunch of these types of questions that come up that Circle is now working on, for example, right? And yeah, so there is a lot of funding going into observability and those types of things. The space is a proven space. It's actually happening now. To the extent that crypto technologies and crypto systems can bring mechanisms to evidence those things. I think we have stand to create an extraordinary.
And then, kind of related to that, with Eigenlayer or Eigen Labs, which you guys have described it as, a network state with high agency people and intelligent agents. So I think you've briefly kind of touched on this, but what does that actually mean in practice or when it actually comes
Yeah.
out? People.
Right. So what has happened with AI is that if you don't know what you're doing with AI and you don't know what to do with AI, then AI is gonna obviously make it very hard for you, because intelligence is no longer the differentiator. It's really kind of knowing what you want to do with AI that really makes the difference. So that's agency, right? Which is choosing and deciding and kind of pushing in a certain direction and saying, this is what I want to do with AI. So it's the age of agency. People building white coded software to sell to other people solving problems with AI for bio education. Like my son wrote educational software. He's 16, and it ended up being used by a whole bunch of people in Kenya. So agency is a key driver for individuals, right? And high agency individuals stand to benefit quite a bit from agents. And agents obviously are getting better and better as intelligence levels kind of grow. And if AGI is coming in 2028, as Dario says, I think AGI is already here for most purposes, because a lot of these AI systems are far more intelligent than most humans, and when they're not, they're at least much faster and cheaper and so on and so forth. So we have a real challenge on our hands as to how to reorganize society. Just like after the industrial revolution, the physical power and manual labor kind of changed, and that will happen again with robotics. So we do have a little bit of a challenge even Dario and Sam have talked about reducing the acceleration if they could. We don't think that's the way to go. We don't think acceleration is what needs to be. We think that we need to create systems and that enable individuals to participate in the economic benefits, right? So I mean, now IPOs are going on at 1 trillion and 2 trillion as opposed to 100 million for Microsoft. So, I mean, people are missing out on all the upside, and so we have technological challenges, legal and challenges of organizing the society. So there are quite a few things that remain unsolved, and I think the society isn't really prepared. So where we contribute is by, creating this systems where you know that there's an agent that does what it says on the can. It is not being teleoperated or sort of remote operated by a human. No, it did what it said, and humans can trust it without waiting for some institution for 3 or 4 or 5 days for a committee to or a court to say, yeah, the agent did what it said. So I think that creates a design space for systems where humans and agents work together to create, economic outcomes and social outcomes that are more beneficial. So I know it sounds a lot abstract, but reality is if everyone is getting replaced by agents at some point, then what's the role of humans, right? And the reality is, no, there is still a role for humans, and that's the part where agency comes in, right? So agents have agency, as in they kind of figure out based on a goal what to do. So similarly, humans based on a goal kind of figure out what to do, how to get there, and that's agency. So I think AI to some extent runs the risk of agency, right? Like you feel lost and there is AI psychosis and you're like, bro, what's going on? I don't know. I'm going to be replaced. I work at Meta and suddenly I don't know what I'm doing. So there is, and a lot of people are left out of that benefit and revolution. So the question then is, where does technology come in and addressing some of those challenges and enabling access to the benefits of intelligence, of machine intelligence, to a wide variety, wide group of people, and not just a few people sitting in Palo Alto.
Yeah. And then actually, this is something that I've been quite curious about as well. What you mentioned about, what the role of humans then once AI comes in. And yeah, I think, some of them may obviously or would actually gravitate towards managing AI better and things like that. But what about the other, say, 60, 70, 80% who probably are not so tech forward? In your view, what happens then? Is it more like, we have this situation where there's social unrest and we have some kind of, basic income?
I don't really know. I think different countries have to deal with it differently, right? I think the AI is very concentrated in US and China. The benefits of AI may not be concentrated, right? But they seem very concentrated with, SpaceX going at 2 trillion, Anthropic at over 1 trillion. So who are the beneficiaries of this? Obviously, there are job losses and things like that. So I think society isn't really prepared, but there are, political systems and democratic systems that have to address some of those other challenges. For other countries, China has its own set of challenges. India has its own set of challenges. So I can't really broadly answer how this world shapes up. I'm as, uncertain as anyone else. But I think where we are trying to come in as technologists, right? What can we build that, for example, allows agentic companies to that create a lot of value for a lot of people to participate in those types of companies, right? And how to interact with those companies, how to, if agents are operating entire businesses, then how do humans kind of engage and participate and benefit from that, and what's the role of technology in there? So we are technologists. We cannot really address a lot of these other post AGI problems outside of the technology, but our role is to figure out where technology can come in and enable the humanity to kind of deal with this extremely accelerated disruption. I've been quite surprised by, in 2022, ChatGPT was all very nice. I think some people like Leopold Aschenbrenner saw what was going on. He came out of OpenAI. I didn't really see it. But I think Sriram saw it, right? So he's been talking about it for a while. So yeah, we don't really know where it's going, how fast it's going, but I think we have a thesis. And our thesis is that, at some point, there'll be other, non-technological systems that also get involved in addressing those, but that's not our role. Our role is to build technology that, offers solutions first people to create new ways of coordination. So we are a coordination research lab, in the AI era, and then we are also a product engineering entity, building a bunch of experiments and products. And yeah, so we and but as a whole, we think that some of our products will really start to offer a solution to address those challenges, especially as the regulatory tailwinds start to approach it. And we think that crypto solves participation. Crypto involves, crypto is kind of built differently, right? Crypto enables people to like participate in Ethereum at $1. Um, there's nothing that enables people to enable participation in Anthropic at $1.
No, absolutely.
So I think crypto has a role in addressing these challenges, and we are building technology and systems, coordination systems that will address or will look to address those challenges. And we think that the time of that is large.
No, absolutely. I think it's very interesting as well, and I'm quite excited to see how it evolves, as we go forward in 2026, 2027 as well. With when it comes to crypto, I think one thing that your background in particular has that's very unique and interesting is that you've just been in this space for so long, probably one of the real OG kind of people. What I'm quite curious about. Sorry.
I think that's very kind. I've been, like Forrest Gump in this industry, who have been around longer and have done a lot more, like Sriram, Sandeep, Eric Voorhees, Ilya. So there are a bunch of founders who have done an awful lot more work than I've been able to do. So yes, I've been an observer and a researcher, and kind of really studied this space. But yeah, I don't really consider the time spent in the industry as a big variable. Uh, and there are situations, even I have not been prepared for, like the market environment of this industry this year, the regulatory acceleration in favor of this industry.
One thing is that you've probably seen a lot of founders come in out of this industry. What do you think successful founder in this space?
It's very hard. Timing is a big factor, right? So timing is a big factor. Doing the right thing at the right time. I know that's not the answer. Persistence, right? Endurance. I think it's very, very hard to be a crypto founder. One of the reasons I chose not to be a crypto founder, in spite of maybe I should have, is because in a sort of a less regulated space, being a builder is very hard, right? So, and then there has historically not been a real connection between value and valuation. That makes it also very hard. And I think being a founder is just hard anyway in every industry, right? I think the timing matters a lot. Like, I think you raise money. AI lost money for 80 years, as Mark Andreessen said. Right now, I think capital raising in, as long as you have a good compute budget, an idea, it's far easier. If you want to do the same thing in crypto, getting funded is extremely challenging. 3 years ago, it was quite the opposite. So timing matters, right? I mean, people underestimate how much timing matters. Endurance matters. What I like about Sriram in particular and some of the other peers is the founder integrity, right? Which is, they're not really driven by, how do I make a lot of money quickly? They're driven by, what are we building? Does it actually solve a problem? Is it really worth spending time on? Are we actually solving a problem that really matters? So I think it's those types of founders that are very, but it depends on how you measure success, right? Like, is Vitalik a successful founder today? Well, he's been for a very long time, but is he today? I think that's open to discussion on Twitter, right? See the word.
Yeah.
So there is timing, endurance, founder integrity. Yeah, those things matter quite a lot. And then there is obviously, what you end up shipping, and that's also often.
So you would think that disproportionately, like timing is more important
Yeah,
than any other factor.
absolutely. 2015, you were doing AI, right? I mean, no one cared. Like you were all, so the Karpati was doing barbecue somewhere, and but crypto was all the rage. And what changed is NVIDIA GPUs, right? And then Google Brain LLMs, a few proofs. I think the evidence really came through with GPT-2, GPT-3, and then GPT-4. Obviously, the GPT-4 was a shocker, and Claude right now is absolutely intimidating, right? So and it's going to get. So we didn't expect. I mean, I didn't see the acceleration coming. I mean, Sriram saw the acceleration coming. I didn't see the acceleration coming, uh, and regulatory factors mattered, right? So, like when Gary Gensler was around, crypto was a really bad thing to do. Now it's okay thing to do. It's a perfectly fine thing to do, but I think we're still missing the yeah. So timing, like Polymarket, right? I mean, Polymarket was supposed to be shut down by CFTC. Then after President Trump's election, Polymarket became the biggest thing in crypto. So timing has a disproportionate amount of influence, but timing also kind of finds people who are persistent and keep going for a long time and have tremendous endurance, like Jensen, who's going for 30
True.
years now. So, and gone through so many ups and downs. So yeah, it's yeah. I mean, I've not been a founder, so but I've observed founders. Yeah, and there are times when people go on for 10 years, 20 years, and nothing happens. So it's just too many factors, but endurance, timing, and solving a customer problem. Timing, luck, those things are kind of the same. And yeah, and then obviously the focus, execution, doing one thing for a long time. Totally was doing fast and cheap for a very long time, and it wasn't working for a very long time. So yeah, I don't know too much about it, but I think it's really these things: timing, endurance, and some level of integrity.
No, that makes sense. I think I agree. That's what I saw, especially with Aether as well. Because I remember when I first joined, it was a gaming company it started as. And then suddenly ChatGPT came, and we realized that actually our edge was that they'd bought so many GPUs. So why not start renting those out and then put a token on it and things like that. So that's how it kind of grew as a project as well. But yeah, I think it was just timing. It was good luck that we had the GPUs and yeah, just like a bunch of things that you mentioned. And yeah, the last question that I have for you is going forward 2026, 2027, what are some things excited for?
Yeah, so I'm excited about the whole AI crypto category as a whole. I think I'm excited about tokenization and stablecoins and the institutional and blockchain intersection. I'm very excited about the final reveal of the Clarity Act. I'm as excited about AI as I'm intimidated by it, right? Because of the pace of AGI. Yeah, I think I'm excited about the opportunities at the intersection of these two fundamental technologies, really. And yeah, I mean, really excited about what people are building at the intersection. I know it's a bit slow right now, as in people are far more excited about outside of crypto with this AI pieces and so on. But I think now it's starting to shift again. So this yeah, mostly I'm really excited about Clarity Act and what that could mean for the legitimization, the scaling, the yeah, and what it can bring straight.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we're definitely living in quite exciting times when it comes to crypto, AI, overall tech, and how it's going to drive the world forward. Yeah, but those are all the questions that I had. Thank you so much for joining today.
Very nice to meet you. Thank you so much, Tanya. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for listening to Off the Record. If you like this episode, like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps the podcast grow. You can find more episodes wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time.